A few years ago, when we were in the midst of our pandemic, I was asked to do interviews with different people that I thought would be of interest to band directors in Oregon. Now we're kind of in a pandemic in that we're stuck in our houses with this ice storm. So I thought it'd be a great time to introduce you to the new band director at Portland State University, Ed Protzman. Ed, welcome to Portland.
Thank you so much. It's been an awesome transition so far.
Yeah, I've had a chance to talk with you on a number of occasions, which I'll talk about in a bit, but everything that I've seen that you've been doing so far has been really positive for not only Portland State, but also for the band directors in the state.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get involved here. I've told several people, if you had to ask me what my biggest surprise was in moving to Oregon, it's the supportive nature and kindness of the band director community in both Oregon and Washington. It's really been pretty amazing. I've never experienced that kind of open invitation to be involved and get involved as I have here.
Well, so you just coming to Portland, where were you born and what schools did you go to while you're making your trek through your band director history?
Yeah, it's kind of been an interesting journey. I grew up on Long Island in New York, and all my family's from New York and like Jersey City and places like that. My dad was a professional jazz musician,
Hmm.
and so as I was growing up, I was always exposed to rehearsals and things like that in our home. And so I started playing drum set. My dad really wanted me to play clarinet and saxophone like he did, but I just wasn't willing really to listen to him too much. So I had to get a different teacher. Um, and as I started music in the schools in New York, it wasn't really a great situation. So I didn't continue. And then my dad kind of augmented his income by becoming getting involved in business in New York City, and we decided to move to the Poconos in Pennsylvania. A lot of people were moving there and commuting, even though it was a crazy like 2 hour commute in each direction. And I got really lucky to get into a program at East Stroudsburg High School. It's a program that Scott Casagrande made really well. And then when I got there, my band director was Gordon Fung. And I remember the first day I walked in to rehearsal, it was, I decided to join because I didn't have any friends, and I was like, oh, I'll do band. And they were playing Korean folk song, and I'd never heard that before by chance. And it just blew my mind that like this music that this concert band was playing could just be so emotional and exciting. And I think I was hooked from that point forward.
Yeah, and I think
And then, yeah, go ahead.
having variations on Korean folk song and you being a percussionist, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. You had some great stuff to play right away.
Yeah, and it was just, I mean, the band program at East Stroudsburg was very much kind of in the format of like University of Illinois. It was, we didn't have a small wind ensemble. We had 100 people in the concert band, and probably you know 25 clarinets, and it was just this great giant sound, and it really drew me in. So from there, I still played a lot of drum set and went to college at one of the Pennsylvania schools called Kutztown University. And I signed up to be a BA music major. They didn't have education. At that point, I really didn't want to teach. And they had this great new band director percussionist who had come on the same year I got there. His name was Will Rapp, who was really kind of well known in the marching band,
Yeah.
for arranging, yeah, for Jensen Publications. And he's also a violin player, which a lot of people don't know. So he's a fantastic concert band conductor. And while I was there, he did the diploma program up at the University of Calgary and was doing his doctorate at Washington with Garofalo. So I just got open and exposed to a lot of different things. I still wanted to be a performer. Graduated, I moved to Pittsburgh to study percussion at Duquesne with some of the players from the Pittsburgh Symphony. I really wanted to be an orchestral timpanist. And I was really broke when I was there, and rent was really expensive. So one of my friends one day in the percussion studio said, I'm teaching these Catholic schools and I can't really do them all. And you don't have to be certified. Does anybody want to give instrumental lessons? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I went and I just fell in love with teaching instruments to students. And so I called my parents up and asked if I could move home to get a music ed degree. So I moved back to Pennsylvania, to that side of Pennsylvania. I went to a place called Moravian College, which is now Moravian University. Got my first band director job at a small blue collar town, Wilson in Pennsylvania. And the band director before me had been there 30 years, and it was quite the experience. I
Wow.
went on and did, yeah, yeah. And, he was a wonderful individual. Even though he had been there 30 years, he kind of knew the pressures I would feel as the new band director coming in after that. So he really helped me with that. And so he was a great guy. Bill Curnow was his name. His brother is Jeff Curnow, the jazz arranger that did a lot of stuff that's for sale and all of that. So I just kept getting lucky along the way, bumping into these people. I went to Calgary and did their summer diploma program with Glenn Price, who's just an amazing individual. I'm hoping to get him up to Portland to do some clinics and things. And then I, once I had that knowledge, I wanted to, find a school where I could do some more difficult literature. And I moved on to one school, and then I had the opportunity to open a high school in Kansas City. So I did that, was very happy there. I had always admired the William Mason program for their marching band and concert band. And, an ad popped up and I was like, oh, I'll just apply for fun and see what happens. I ended up getting the job and had a great 6 years there, capped off by performing at Midwest in 2022. And again, I seem to stumble into these things. I'm very lucky. I was wanting to move over on the pay scale to master's plus 30, I guess it is. And so Liberty University had just opened up a doctorate program, a doctorate in music education. And so I started that. And in my second year, we had a project where we had to find 3 university jobs that we thought fit us, write the cover letters, collect all the materials. But we weren't supposed to submit it. Well, the more I looked at the Portland State job, the more I was like, this would be exactly what I would want. 2 concert bands. I love living in a city environment. So I was like, I'm going to send this stuff in. And I think with the recordings from Midwest and stuff, I had a really good chance. And I guess the rest is kind of history. So Portland State also kind of happened by accident or via destiny or whatever you want
Oh,
to
my
call it.
destiny. Sure. That's a great story about how that university project turned into your job now at
Yes.
State.
That was the first job I ever applied for college. So I taught community college back in Ohio, but I mean for a 4-year institution.
Well, one of the questions I had, because I knew that your band played at Midwest, what was getting ready to perform in Midwest like?
It was amazing. You know, concerts are awesome, but concerts are kind of the culmination of all the things you've done to prepare, and sometimes concerts don't even go the way you want them to after you and your students have invested time. And so that build up, it was a 2-year process of, when I decided, okay, I'm ready to try and go to Midwest. And we had a big program at Mason in our marching band. I didn't do the marching band, I was in charge of the program, but our marching band director wanted to apply for the Rose Parade, which they just marched this year. But I said, I think this is the perfect year to send in a recording for Midwest. So we decided to do that instead. And so that year of preparing and bringing in great friends of the program like Richard Floyd and and others, James Keene. We were working with James Keene the spring before he died. He was actually supposed to conduct a Midwest with us. And in the summer, unfortunately, I got that phone call that he had passed away. But just that process um, preparation for the audition was amazing. And the students were great about it. And then once we got accepted, it was so much fun just to prepare, to choose the repertoire and build the rehearsal plan. And I mean, the concert was great. I was so nervous. I don't even remember it really. But the process was unbelievable. And what it's led me to realize is and I think I'm going to make a presentation out of this. I think any school can have that experience. You don't have to wait until your school's at the top level to bring in guests and prepare a project, and because that was really where the reward was. It was the whole process of getting there and rehearsing and all that. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I've had my bands perform a number of times at the Oregon Music Convention, and the process, like you said, was not only reward enough, but having the kids performing on the stage and in front of music educators, it was much more nervous. I was more nervous for myself than the kids because I knew who was out there. The kids, oh, this is just another gig, and but they had a great time.
They do, and that's the thing, right? I think you could play at, you know, a local high school concert band festival or at your state convention or at Midwest. Students are going to have the same amount of joy, um, based on how we package it and sell it to them and educate them about it. And so I think everybody can have something, it just, you just have to figure out what that is and what fits.
Yeah, and when I was talking to some new teachers and they were talking about these big trips they wanted to plan, I said, as long as you get on a bus and go someplace, they'll have a good time.
They will. And, you can teach them so many things about interacting with the community and being respectful. There's so much that they can learn from it.
Well, once you got the Portland State gig, had you ever been to Portland before?
No, I've never been here. Um, like I said, I grew up in New York, loved New York. Ohio was a great place to live because of the people. But that part of the Midwest is real flat. No offense to Cincinnati people. Cincinnati was not my favorite city I'd ever lived in. There's nothing wrong with it. It just didn't have that vibe. And but I've never been to the Pacific Northwest. So excuse me. As soon as I got here, I was like, wow, this place is gorgeous. And I know right now Portlanders like to say, oh well, the city's not what it used to be. But when you come to Portland as an outsider, this is an awesome place. It's got so much going on. It's way safer than other cities, and the faculty of Portland State is just made up of incredible people. So I just felt great as soon as I got here. And that was actually a little disconcerting because when I came for the week to audition, I knew that if I didn't get the position, I was going to be really upset because this was just the coolest place and the coolest people.
Well, I think just from talking to you, one of the strengths that you're going to have when you're helping out other band directors in the state is your experience in a small school, like when you first started out. And I can appreciate following a really strong band director, but following someone after 30 years, you can really give some advice to young teachers who are doing the exact same thing. So with that, how can you support the band directors in the state, and how could they reach you and ask questions for you?
Yeah. So, when I started the doctoral degree and started thinking about college, I really felt, I was at the point where I want to help other people be successful. And so that's the thing I think I'm most looking forward to. Our ensembles are going to be great. And we'll apply to play at OMEA and to play at WIBIC and maybe a regional CBDNA. But that kind of stuff's no longer the focus for me. I really want to help young students who are becoming band directors. And then I want Portland State to become a hub, for our area of Oregon and up into Washington of, band director activity and education. So, I'm planning a couple of future events. We're doing a concert band workshop in February where Gary Hill's coming up. And then I really want to have a summer wind band teaching symposium. That'll probably start in 2025, where I bring in some guests and we have different classes and students can get master's credit so they can move over on the pay scale, even if they want. So I just want to make Portland State a place where directors feel like even if they didn't go to Portland State, if they went to, any other university, they're welcome. They can come for enrichment and ask questions, and I'm willing to go out and work with people because I'm a professor of practice. I'm not in the tenure track, and what that means is that my job is to be out in the field working. And so when my reviews come up, they're not going to be off of how many articles did I write. It's going to be, what did you do out in the field? So that really excited me about the position. So again, I just really want to help create energy and support. And you know, I hope people invite me and they invite all the other directors in the area that are amazing. We have some amazing college programs in the area. No matter what level their program is at, I'd rather go to a school that has 18 students in the wind ensemble that are kind of young and help them than a group that's already ready to, submit a recording to play at Wibbick. I think that can have more impact on programs that are developing. And that's where I really would like to dig in and help do some work.
Oh, most definitely. And I think when I've done some clinics and judging, my favorite clinics are with the really small bands and where you can really make a difference right away.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, with that kind of answered my next question, what your vision for Portland State is. And I think you're really on the right track. Like I said, I've seen you at Wibbick. I saw you, or not Wibbick, at the music convention. I saw you at a marching band competition. So people are definitely getting to see your face. And the main reason I wanted to do this video is so that people can get a chance to know you a little bit better. And I think you're on your way to knowing a lot of people in the state and helping out programs throughout the entire state, not just in the Portland metropolitan area.
Right. I think directors in Oregon and Washington, from what I've seen, I think they could be really proud of what's going on here. I think the marching band side of thing is done really in a healthy way. You can compete or you can do pep band. It's a choice of your program and the culture of your school. Um, I love that there's multiple concert band festivals with adjudicators who have to go through training. I mean, I just think there's so much going on that's positive here that the rest of the country really needs to know a little more about it.
So what has been the biggest change for you personally going from teaching high school to teaching at a university?
Well, some of them are purely practical. I haven't really switched fully. So if there's a day where I don't have class till 11, I still go in at 8 o'clock in the morning, like I'm going to my band program. I used to go in at 6, so it's a lot easier. I think the biggest change for me is, just that there's a lot more space in the day, and I can use that space to really do score study and prepare for rehearsal. I remember when I was a high school director, where your life is, dictated by that bell going off, whether it's every 50 minutes or every 90 minutes, and then people expect you to do your score study and your preparation on your own time. Like, yeah, do that on your own time. Like you haven't already worked a billion hours on your program. So in the university situation, having time to study literature and, you know, learn more about, different aspects of what's going on in music is pretty neat. And I'm looking forward to developing that over the next bit of time.
Is there anything else you want to talk about since we're still on the Portland State subject? Anything that you'd want to tell directors about your program currently at Portland State and what you see in the future?
Yeah. So, obviously, part of my vision for Portland State is to, get the Wind Symphony to a point where it's performing the same literature and having it well played as, all the other major universities in the state and in the country. We have some great examples. You know, the programs at Oregon and OSU are amazing, and so they're some great things to look up to. And then there's a whole bunch of the, other private schools in the area. But my goal is to really escalate the competency of the ensembles. And then I would like to, my real dream, I just have to figure out how to do the financing. I would love to see the Portland State Wind Symphony doing like a 2 or 3 day tour, every other year or every year. And because I'd like to get us to parts of the state where maybe we don't normally go, places like Bend and further south and up more north into Washington, and just share our students' talents and again help a program, you know, make a great experience for their students. Like if we can come in and split a concert. So I encourage anybody out there who has an idea of like splitting a concert or doing a side by side with their middle school students, with our PSU students, don't be afraid to email and ask, because, you know, we're at the beginning stage where right now with me as the director, we don't have anything where we're like, well, this is what we always do. So new ideas are really going to be appreciated and acted upon.
Well, that's great. And, so many times when we're talking with college directors, their total focus is just on the high schools. But it's nice to see that you're willing to go out and help out with the middle schools, because you can't have good high schools without a good middle school band program.
No, and again, that goes back to that thing of every student, no matter what level they're at, whether it's beginning band, I'll work with beginners. And I'm sure, the other directors in the state would too. People just don't often ask for that. But every student deserves to have an experience that goes beyond the doors of their band room and beyond just their band director. And I'm sure you could ask directors from any of the colleges in the area, and they would say, yeah, I'll come in and work with your middle school or your beginners, because if we don't keep students excited about being band, jobs are going to go away and the activity is going to dwindle. And it's the same with community bands, because we always tell our students to keep playing their instruments. And, so I want to support community bands. I think one of the big things at Portland State that we need to do better is getting more non-majors involved in the band program. And when you have 20,000 students on campus, there's got to be 200 students who played in their band walking around but just don't know they can be involved. And so I want to get them involved, and I want to give that second and third band, hopefully in the future, as much experience as the top band.
Oh, that's fantastic. A little bit more about you in the remaining couple minutes that we have. What do you like to do in your spare time now that you're here in Portland and with the outdoors right next door?
Me and my wife have never been like, nature people, but I think that's in our future to do more and more of that. Um, we had an interesting experience this summer. We plan to move here probably in July or August to get ready for the start of school, but our house sold the first day we put it on the market in cash. But the one thing we had to give is they wanted us out in 2 weeks. So I frantically called for apartments and got a moving truck and all that. And so we moved here and I had a lot of time. And so we did a couple of things. And the day we drove to Cannon Beach through the mountains and then drove down the coast, it blew my mind. So we want to get to like Crater Lake and all those other incredible sites. And then, just getting to know Portland and what it has to offer artistically. There's so much going on here. And we're kind of foodies as far as, the food trucks and all that. So Portland really fits um, kind of our desires. And the other thing is, I really love that in Portland and the Portland area, you know, everybody can be who they are, and that's supported, and that's a great environment to live in. So I really like that about the area.
One last question, and it's really important, and you have to be honest. So being from New York, how's the pizza here?
You know, pizza was really bad in the Midwest, so it's definitely a notch up here. And I'm not really a I love New York pizza, and definitely my first choice would be a small pizza shop in Brooklyn. But I do like that a lot of the eating situations here, chefs are trying to do different things and artesian pizzas and stuff like that. So I'll probably have to give you a report on that in about another year after I try more places.
Okay. Well, Ed, thanks for taking the time to talk with me, and I'll get this out on the social media. And I really encourage all you directors that are watching this to contact Ed and contact all the universities in the area because we're in this together. It's the village to raise the type of musicians that we all want to have. So thank you, Ed, and I really
Can I
appreciate.
add one last thing?
Yeah,
One of the interesting things about when I got to Portland State is we have no alumni records of who's been in the band. So I just recently posted a Google form on the band director Facebook. But if you're an alumni of Portland State and you are involved in music, or even if you're not, or you're involved in band, let me know so I can at least just know who you are and send you information because that's an important aspect of a program, and we don't have a lot of records of that currently.
great. Yeah, I saw that on the Facebook posting, so we'll definitely get that out there. Any last words for the band directors here in Oregon?
Yeah, just thank you so much for um, being open and supportive right away. I think the day after I got here, Danielle Davies and some people got in contact with me and showed me around and how to do things. And I've just noticed that from everybody. So thank you so much for inviting me into the band community here in Oregon.
Well, we are definitely happy to have you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.